Samurai.
Okay, so Starship Samurai, designed by Isaac Vega, one of my well-liked designers. He's not my personal designer. I don't know why it sounded like that, but I really enjoy his work. He's in other games. He did Dead of Winter. He
Yes.
did. What else did he do off the top of my head?
Ashes.
Ash. Oh, freak! Ashes is so good.
Yes.
Yeah, other fantastic games. The art is done by a collective called Gunship Revolution. I highly recommend checking them out online. They've actually done a lot of stuff that you've seen in board games. I wasn't aware of what they've done, but fantastic artwork and published by Plaid Hat Games. Now, Plaid Hat Games. Actually, we talked about a game of theirs last time. We talked about Crystal
Clans.
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 Yes. And that was by Plaid Hat Games. I really love what Plaid Hat does. Their games are always interesting to me. This one especially. So what this is it kind of distills elements from Rising Sun and Blood Rage, and it just kind of takes it down to its core elements. And it's those core elements that create drama. So this is a space game. Well, it's game in space, but it's a light area control game. And I say light area control because it's not a set map. There are spaces on the map for locations, and you're moving your ships around and your giant samurai mechs around in space. And at the end of each round, there will be a battle phase, and ultimately the battle is just who has the most power in that sector. But what's manipulating these locations, and there's only 4 locations at most, but what's manipulating those locations are your movement. There are some action cards that you can play, and through the actions that you're doing, you're able to move people around, but there's only so many spaces in each location, so it creates great tension. On your turn, there are only 4 actions available to you, and it's move and get wealth and get an action card and a 4th one that I can't remember that
One
will
more,
come
buddy.
back to me at some point.
Got one more. Come on, you
hold
can
on.
do
Okay,
it.
hold on. There's move. There's
Move.
action.
2.
No, yeah, action cards. Okay, action cards. Move action cards.
2.
Um, I just went down one.
Now,
I can't
now
remember
I'm
the
just
other
like
2.
I'm putting the pressure on you.
No, it's good. It's good. I need this pressure. There's get wealth. I've already said that one. No.
No, 3.
Move. Okay. Move action cards. Get wealth. Oh, and yes, and then it's increase your influence in a specific clan. Let's say.
You did
And
it.
so, thank you. And so there are 8 clans overall that you're kind of vying for control over or influence over, and that's kind of your end game scoring there as well. And each location space, there's 4, like I was saying, will change each round as well, but those location cards are associated most of the time with one of those 8 clans, so it will give you influence depending if you have the most power in that location. So I know I've kind of twisted things up here, but ultimately it's a very simple game. The rulebook is extremely easy to understand. There's a great watch it played video for it from Rodney Smith, and so it's very easy to get into. And we probably played. It probably took us either 90 minutes to 2 hours, versus like a game of Rising Sun is a lot longer than that. Blood Rage is about that same time, but it's still even simpler than Blood Rage and Rising Sun. It's just fun to kind of see games like this simplified and just a lot more accessible, and focusing really on the interaction of players and the drama behind the game. And it has awesome table presence. You have these over the top miniatures of space mechs or space samurai mechs. And it's just, honestly, it's a completely over the top theme, and I love it. I just think the presentation's great. Plaid Hat is one to just kick it out of the park with their production value. Just a high standard of quality, and it's just fantastic. Now you have played this game. You have not played this game.
No, I've picked it up. It's been
Mm-hmm.
sitting on my shelf, and I've just been waiting to have the opportunity to gather some friends to be able to play it. I actually hope to play it tomorrow, so hopefully it'll get on my table then. But yeah, I was originally attracted to this game purely on the title, Starship
Totally.
Samurai. Like that, just it tingles a part of my interest that makes me really happy. And then when you essentially had like this Gundam-esque like illustration that looked extremely epic, I was very much interested and appealed to this game. And I actually had the opportunity to meet Isaac at Origins this year, along with again many others, and he was such a nice guy. We talked about Japan, we talked a little bit about games, just overall an awesome guy. So yeah, again, I'm really excited. I think you did a good job in terms of kind of summing up exactly what this game is. Um, Again, too, there's a lot to say about those miniatures. I love me a good
Mm-hmm.
miniature, and I think Plaid Hat did a good job as finding a good plastic sky to get like
Yep.
these really like pretty dope miniatures. Like there's a guy that has like the biggest wings I've ever seen on a miniature personally that I've seen. I know there's
Mm-hmm.
probably bigger ones, but like just for what comes in a standard board game, I think these are some of the higher quality ones. And if you wanted to paint them too, you could. They're pretty simple. They don't have much texture to them, so you can get pretty if you're not an experienced painter, I bet you could probably get these primed and painted how you see fit,
Oh
pretty
yeah.
easily. So yeah, for those people that like that kind of stuff, like this, these miniatures are right up your alley. But yeah, I would agree. I think it's a really, take on the area control. The locations are actually based per player count. So I
Yes,
think,
that's true.
yeah, so it's like if you have 4 locations out on the board, it's because there's a location per player. And yeah, you're basically just having these ships and samurais kind of like being brought onto this location that you're kind of vying for. And I mean, it isn't too exciting, and there isn't like this big giant space battle that happens. Some of the action cards, I believe, do kind of give that sense of like action that could take place. Perhaps I would have to imagine so, just because I know there are some action cards that allow like during a battle phase to be affected somehow when ships blow up and
Mm-hmm.
things. But as
Mm-hmm.
also as well as that all these samurais as well that you draft. So it's like you draw like 2 per player, and then you like pass them back and forth, and so you're kind of drafting them, and then
Yeah.
each of them have like their own unique ability of how they affect the game or the location or the player, what have you. So that's kind of it's a unique thing as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and really, I'm really digging this weight of game right now. In this game, like you're saying, there's just a few pieces per player. You'll have your 2 mechs and just 2 types of ships, and one of those being like a carrier ship, and then just like a fighter ship. But there's really not a lot going on, and there isn't this feeling of an epic battle, right? But I like how it just kind of pairs everything down, and it brings that focus, like I was saying, to the event and to your friends playing the game. So this weight of game, I mean, where I can teach it in about 20 minutes and we'll play in about 90 minutes. So it's a great game for a shorter game night, or one where it's not staying up super late, but you still have this great experience. I love
Yeah.
this game.
That's awesome.
Starship Samurai by Plaid Hat Games.
Before we go, you mentioned that Gunship Revolution was like the studio or the group behind it. What else have they done that you can rattle off very quick?
They've done a bunch of stuff for Fantasy Flight. They've done stuff for other Plaid Hat games. I don't have specifics. If you go to their website, which I'm going to Google that right now because it actually is good to know what they're doing. They have
Sure.
done things like Blizzard, Capcom,
Mm-hmm.
Hasbro,
Mm-hmm.
Games Workshop,
Mm-hmm.
AEG, CMON, Fantasy Flight. Their logo is there. Z-Man Games, Geek and Sundry. So they actually have a prolific,
So they have their feet in many different
yeah,
publisher pots, it seems
yep,
like. Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it's cool, and I like what they do. It's not necessarily like my type of style that I would pick, but since it's like a collective, they have a good variety of looks and aesthetics. Oh, they did work for Seafall. I know that. I think they did the cover for that.
Oh, okay.
And other, yeah. Oh, yeah, AEG. So Alderac Entertainment Group has used them. Their website will kind of show you their style and people that they've worked with. So
Sure.
it was fun kind of discovering them because I didn't know that they're kind of this prolific art group that is used in a lot of board games. So I probably have other games that are done by them. I just didn't know it until now.
Yeah. Very cool.